Dudes.
Dudes.
What's up, man? I like how you say dudes differently every single time now.
I gotta mix it up.
You got to keep it,
Fresh.
varied, fresh. So we just saw Deadpool and Wolverine, which I know you've been looking forward to for a crazy amount of time.
Yes.
All right, let's start off. Did it live up to the hype? Here's what we're gonna do, by the way. We're gonna do a spoiler-free first half, maybe 10 minutes, and then we'll dive into more of the stuff that we really enjoyed on a spoiler level, where we'll describe some scenes that we enjoyed and stuff like that. But your first impressions of Deadpool and Wolverine?
You know, I liked it, but I do think it felt a little overdone. Like a little like they tried to cram too much into it. They were a little too self-aware.
Yeah.
Like it was almost forced at times, but overall I liked it.
I also liked it a lot. And I think that I kind of agree with what you're saying. What it reminded me of in my mind was the last Doctor Strange movie. Do you remember that movie? I forget what it was called, but
Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse, where it was really madness. Like it was just, I mean, stuff happening nonstop, different characters, whiz bang. Like I almost got blinded by how much was going on, and all the different timelines and so forth. I thought it was hilarious. I thought Ryan Reynolds obviously crushed it. I thought that Hugh Jackman absolutely crushed it. It was good to see him again, and the secondary characters, I didn't really care for, honestly.
Well, I mean, they weren't really developed. I mean,
yeah,
there was just so many. And I think that a lot of movies that deal with time travel or multiverseness have this problem because it's such a big topic and it's so nebulous. And you can do pretty much whatever you want that people forget to follow rules of storytelling. And they kind of go a little too far, a little overboard. They try to go for the cameo or they try to go for the big joke. Right. And sometimes it just takes away from the overall story. You saw this with the most recent Star Wars, where it kind of was like, hey, let's lean into nostalgia. Right. And I mean, it works sometimes, and sometimes it feels a little forced.
Fan service to me is awesome to a point. I like the little nuggets of fan service, but when you try and do a whole movie or a whole album or a whole TV show, like that's all fan service, it loses sort of the narrative integrity a little bit. The first two had very clear storylines that were, A to Z. And this one seemed a little bit, it was a Jeremy Bearimy. It was a little bit all over the place.
It really wanted to show you how well it was going to tie in the rest of the Marvel universe with all the other franchises and properties. And, but back when I was growing up, you'd have cartoons that sold toys. This felt kind of like that, where it was like a movie to sell the new multiverse.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the spoilers because I want to talk about some scenes that we enjoyed, because there were a few times where I looked over at you, you looked over at me like, damn, that was great, that was badass.
Yeah.
So if you're watching and you don't want any kind of spoilers, we're not going to give away the ending, but we will talk about specific scenes and things like that.
Yes.
So if that's not your particular cup of tea, go ahead and tune out.
Peace out.
Let's start with the opening, where he's digging up Logan, right?
Yeah.
And he's got the titanium bones, and they wait to do the reveal, and he's basically just like a titanium skeleton. He's like, you look very passed over.
It's adamantium, Derek. It's adamantium.
Whatever.
That was great. That whole like titanium or adamantium skeleton where he just basically desecrates the corpse.
That was amazing.
Right. That was a great opening. I think that was probably the highlight of the movie. Really, it was really good, really well done. And it's not like an indictment of the rest of the movie, but it was definitely one of the better, well done parts of that film.
But I still don't understand the whole point of that, because he ended up going into like the multiverse switcher anyway to find the right version of Logan. So what was that even about? Like, I feel like it was discontinuity from the whole movie.
It's like another problem I had in they really leaned heavily into the middle fingers to Fox, right? And I don't necessarily love the Fox universe, but it was just like heavy-handed, like, yeah, screw you, Fox, we're out of here, right? And like that, I felt like that desecration of the Logan corpse was a bit of that, like, the middle finger to Fox. And for the most part, they deserve it, but Logan was an excellent movie. And I don't think that you really need to to drag that one into it. But overall, it was still funny. I mean,
I like that they referenced Logan and that they paid a little bit of fan service to it. Like I like how they brought the chick back, and they reference things that happened in that movie.
right.
But also when you're dealing with like the multiverse, there was all these other things. Like it really wasn't the same Wolverine. It was just it didn't hold together very well for me. Like it's not going to have a lot of rewatch value. I felt like they went into the fourth wall shit a little bit too much. They've always broken the fourth wall in Deadpool, right? But
that's his thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they went way overboard in this. I mean, there must have been 20 fucking references to, they're going to have you into your contract until you're 90. Like, come on.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they went a little too far with that. One thing I will say that if you did not watch the Loki series,
Which I didn't.
It'll make a lot more sense if you watch that, because the TVA is a heavy influence in that series. It's all about the TVA. And really that's where they started kind of setting up this idea of multiverse, like tying things together, trying to bring in other characters. Yeah, they're really trying to figure out a way to bring in all the other properties without just like having them appear, right? So this is the way to do it. And the multiverse part and the TVA and all that stuff, it makes a lot more sense. The pruning and all that stuff. The void, there's a big, it's featured a lot in the Loki series. So if you want to rewatch it, I suggest watching the Loki series first. And if you haven't seen Deadpool yet, you might want to try to watch the Loki series and try to get yourself kind of centered around that. I think that's most of the time Marvel movies don't require you to watch something beforehand. I feel like it's really helpful to watch the Loki series before watching this one, though.
So we had two fights between Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
In this fight, two drag out fights. I thought they were both really, really good. Which one did you like better? Was it the first one or was it the car minivan?
I like the one in the Odyssey.
Yes, I thought it was great.
It was, yeah.
It's not a minivan, by the way. It's
not a minivan. It's an MPV.
MPV. What does MPV stand for? Multi-person van, or?
I remember like there was like a vehicle called the MPV, but I don't really know. Like, yeah, it was kind of esoteric, but it was still pretty funny. So.
Yeah, I didn't dig the villain. I guess it was Professor X's sister,
Cassandra Cain. I liked Cassandra Cain, the villain, but I don't feel like she was utilized well.
I don't know. I found her performance was kind of over the top, and I guess everything was over the top in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But just the way she delivered lines and just the way she, held herself on screen, it seemed like an actor acting. Right? It wasn't menacing. I was not menaced at all. Like I was not terrified by her actions at all.
Yeah, a part of the problem also, we go back to the multiverse, time travel stuff. When you try to cram so much in, it does not give you a lot of time for character development. And the Cassandra Cain character did not have development. Instead, they told us about her past, which was kind of like a throwaway line. Oh, I tried to strangle my brother in the wound.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, yeah, okay, great. Why didn't we like have like this build? Like, she wasn't, there was no gravitas to like the character. And that was the problem with a lot of the characters, because if they weren't in the previous Deadpools, then you really didn't relate. And then you have the TVA characters, which you've met in the Loki series, but Paradox comes out of nowhere. You don't really understand his motivations, right? You remember Spider-Man 3?
Yes.
Sam Raimi, right?
Hated it.
Same problem. I
Yeah.
didn't hate it, but it had the same problem because you tried to cram too many villains into one. You had Venom, you had Sandman, and then you had the Green Goblin. And it's like all those in the same movie. And it's like, you can't do that. There's not enough time. Our attention spans aren't long enough, and you cannot properly tell a good story and make us care or hate somebody with that amount of time.
So you were one of the 12 people who saw both the Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
I saw all the Fantastic Fours. There was the first two. It had two of them had Jessica Alba as Sue Storm, which was weird, and then they had the Miles Teller one with the Human Torch was Michael B. Jordan.
I didn't even know there was a third one. Is there a fourth one?
Yeah. There's a new one coming out. They're working on it now. It's got Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, right? I think it's gonna be good. I mean, they generally do a pretty good job with these properties, but yeah. So I saw the first two. I mean, they're not very good. All right.
We had some cameos. We had some cameos in this one.
There was actually an earlier Fantastic Four. You know how like they have those really bad Marvel movies from like the 80s? There was like
Yes.
a really bad Fantastic Four from the 80s. That's worth like checking out on YouTube because it's that bad. But yeah, you did have cameos.
I liked the whole concept of when a cinematic universe goes away, that the characters from that universe get cast into this void where we spend a large portion of the movie.
Yep.
And spoiler, if you're still watching, it's on you.
It's your fault.
I'm about to drop a major spoiler in 3, 2, 1. Blade. Wesley Snipes was in this movie.
Blade,
but he looks bad, dude. Like,
he does look pretty bad.
He went from being like this buff vampire hunter to like, he looks like
tax evasion will do that to you, man. It weighs on your soul.
He looks like he's sickly. Like, he really does. He looks sickly.
He does. And it's interesting because that character is not really supposed to get old. He's a vampire.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a good point.
Mean, you couldn't have like de-aged him, like make him look like, I haven't aged. I'm still Blade, right? I mean, Jennifer Garner looks a little older too, but not terribly old. Yeah, they had Elektra, right? They had a character we've never seen before, other than like other iterations of him from other X-Men movies. But long ago, Channing Tatum was working and working and working, trying to play Gambit. You know what? He got his wish.
He was actually terrific. I loved his accent. I thought he was great. There was some good. I enjoyed the cameos. I enjoyed the first act immensely. The second act a little bit less, and I just didn't care for the third act. I was running in and out of the theater a little bit because I was a combination of drinking too much soda and also the Yankees are making some deals, and I'm a Yankees podcast.
Oh yeah.
So I got to tell you the story. So, this is about the third time that we have been at the movies around the trade deadline. We always go see these summer blockbusters together.
Right.
And that a move has happened like within the hours before and after. One time Joey Gallo got traded like a minute we sat down to watch the Avengers.
Traded to or from?
To the Yankees.
That's a terrible day.
Yeah.
It's a horrible day for you.
Yeah, it was not a great day. I was excited at the moment, but that excitement was short-lived after I got to see him play. So today, I was worried. Like, I was like, this is a 2-hour-long movie. I'm sitting down at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Something could happen. So I'm driving home, and I get the text alert that the Yankees made a trade for Jazz Chisholm. So, of course, I had to go live.
That's a great trade.
They got Jazz Chisholm for 3 prospects. And then so I got home, and I had to do a live show and get my audience reaction and all that stuff. And then Foul Territory, which is a podcast/TV show that I work on behind the scenes, they bring me on whenever they want to talk Yankee stuff, like Juan Soto or trade or whatever. And they wanted to have me on today to talk a little bit of Jazz Chisholm, and I had like 2 minutes notice. And because I was just at the movie, I had pizza and just good, like just gunk all over my shirt, like and I realized, okay, I got to change real quick, and so I had to change, and then I went live, and that caused us to be delayed on this podcast. But we got 218 people now tuned in to find out.
Because people love spoilers. People love it.
They love spoilers.
They love
Deadpool,
spoilers.
Wolverine. How many dudes out of 5 would you give this?
I'd say 4. I did have a problem with how crammed in everything was, but I did like a lot of the service to the Wolverine character. Like they went back into the vault with some of these characters. They brought out the Patch character. They did the Hulk versus Wolverine fight scene, right? They had a lot of good stuff in there. But overall, I still felt like it tried to cram a little too much in there.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3.5 out of 5 dudes, which not a great score.
That's not a bad score. That's still passing.
It's not a great. Well, if it was 5 out of 5, it would be, but it's not.
But like 3.5 is like,
it's a 70. That's a 70%.
It's a B-.
That's a C. That's a C. 3.5.
New scoring on the curve. You gotta factor in Ghost Rider.
Yeah. So. I want to talk a little bit about Wolverine while we have some time, because I've always been interested in Wolverine, but I haven't seen like all of the X-Men movies. I've only seen X1 and X2, and I've seen Wolverine, like the break. It was like a breakout movie just called Wolverine, I believe.
Was it the one with the Deadpool character that had no mouth?
Right.
That
yes.
Was awful.
Yeah, it was bad. I don't even really remember it that well. It was just like one of those things where somebody was watching it and I happened to be there. And then the most recent one was Logan, which I really enjoyed. And I thought that was like, based in reality somewhat. So, as someone who appreciates Wolverine, what should I go back and watch, like, to kind of get the feel for this character and all the different stuff that he's in? And that includes things like cartoons and stuff, because I really want to
Yeah.
dive into Wolverine. I find something about his character, this sort of like I'd rather not be here kind of thing,
Mhm.
but rises to the occasion when called upon. I want to learn more about this character.
Right. So he was in X1 and X2. He was pretty good. X3 I felt like was kind of a mess because I think they had gotten rid of Singer and brought him back or something. It was weird. It got a little. Whenever they've done the Dark Phoenix saga, they've never quite gotten it right. That's the Jean Grey turns into
Yeah.
the evil Phoenix Force and tries to destroy the world. Because I did that again in the new class.
Was he in
If
First
you're-
Class or whatever?
He was like in parts of that, right? Like, and especially when they did Days of Future Past, because they
Haven't
had to
seen
go to like get him and snatch him into the past, and like it was another one of those time travel confusing things, but it was actually not terribly done. It was pretty good. They also had the Wolverine. So there was Wolverine Origins, which was like the one with Deadpool, and
Yeah,
then the
that's the one I saw.
Wolverine where he goes to Japan, and that was actually decent. That's actually not bad at all.
I did not see that one.
Yeah, that
Is
was
it the same? Is it Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, Hugh Jackman. He goes to Japan. He has to fight the Silver Samurai. They're trying to steal his healing power to basically regenerate the youth of this guy he met in World War II in Japan, right? Some pretty cool scenes in that. That's worth watching. A lot of like there's a lot of ninja lore in the Wolverine comics, so he was very tied to Japan for a while there. And then if you're wanting to read Wolverine stories, the Japan ones were good. Well, no.
Yeah.
Old Man Logan is like based on Logan, right? So, but if you don't want to read them, that's fine.
I'm not much of a comic book reader. If
Yeah.
I can just flip on a movie or something, I watch this type of shit. 11:30 at night, everybody's asleep in the house,
Yeah.
and there's not much on, and I don't want to use my brain too much. I just want to
Okay.
watch like some cool fights and some whiz bang and
Right.
that type of stuff. The only exception is Logan. I've watched that a couple of times now, like intentionally.
Did you ever watch the black and white version of it?
I did, yeah. That's the most recent one. I thought
Yeah.
is awesome. I love it. I love Patrick Stewart. I'll watch anything
Yeah,
that
he's
Patrick
great.
Stewart's in. So yeah,
The X-Men cartoons from the 90s were good, and then they revisited it with X-Men 97. That's always got a pretty good Wolverine portrayal in that.
do you think that there's an age where it's like I'm too old to watch cartoons?
It depends on the cartoon, right? If it's like Bluey,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, but the X-Men series, they're not too kiddie, right? Especially the newer ones, they're a lot more edgy. And then there's like a Hulk versus Wolverine like mini movie. It was all right. I mean,
If
but
Garfield and Friends was still on, I would totally fuck with Garfield and Friends. I love that. Animaniacs, yeah. And then
Tiny
what was it?
Toons,
Yeah.
Tiny Toons.
DuckTales, like all that
Yeah.
stuff. It was
Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, just my review of Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine, solid, but not something that I think I'm gonna rewatch the same way I would rewatch Deadpool. I've seen Deadpool now probably 3 times, and I've seen Deadpool 2 twice. But I might rewatch this at some point, but I'm not gonna buy it. Like I'm not gonna spend $20 for it. If it's ever on sale for $5 or something, or if it's on Netflix,
It'll be on Disney Plus or whatever.
yeah,
I mean,
Disney
it's
Plus,
worth,
true, yeah.
like I said, it's probably worth rewatching if you watch the Loki series, and then it makes
Yeah.
a little more sense. I did look up who Lady Deadpool was. It was not Taylor Swift. It
yeah,
was Blake Lively.
Oh, Blake. Oh, that makes sense because she's married to Ryan Reynolds.
She is,
Yeah.
yes. So Blake
Was-
Lively's in it.
Was the country sounding guy? Was that Matthew
That was
McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey.
I
You
knew
could
it. I
call
got
it.
it.
You could
I'm
call
great
it
at the voice thing. I'm great at recognizing voices.
And Vinnie Jones is not Juggernaut. They got a new actor for Juggernaut. So remember Vinnie Jones? I'm the Juggernaut,
Yeah.
bitch. Yeah, that's not him. It's a different
Mm.
guy now. But he looks the same.
I thought the dog was great that they
Dog
they
was
had.
great, yeah.
Dog pool. Yeah, so that was great.
The CGI tongue. I don't think that was a real tongue.
No, I don't think that was a real tongue either.
I hope
But,
that wasn't a real tongue. Good
it was
God.
fun. So, all right. So what's next for the Marvel and DC universes? Like, what is Wolverine now? Like, was he part of DC at a point or something like that?
No,
Or-
he was always Marvel. It's interesting because Hugh Jackman is getting up there in age. I mean, you can see him now in the pictures. Like he's getting older. Everybody gets old. And Wolverine is a character that's not supposed to really get old. So they're going to have to think about what to do with that. They did have another cameo. I don't know if you caught that, the Henry Cavill.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, that was great.
Calverine or whatever they called him. He was actually a good-looking Wolverine. There's been talk of like Daniel Radcliffe doing Wolverine.
No.
I mean, no.
No.
I don't know.
I flat out reject.
What if
Daniel
he's
Radcliffe.
like a Harry Potter Wolverine mix?
I think that would still be stupid. He's not strong enough. Like, you've got to be jacked. Like Cavill, yeah, I can see him being.
Well, he was doing like some workouts to like get bigger, and they were thinking he was going to do that, but
he's not going to get big enough. As someone who knows about weightlifting, he's not going to get big enough. Like Radcliffe does not have the DNA to get to Jackman level.
He's got a magic wand, all right.
Although I didn't think that Jim from The Office would ever become Jack Ryan level.
Yeah,
jacked.
there you go. Yeah.
So
or no, even better, Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
And nobody. Yeah, nobody would have ever thought he was an action star.
Did you know he had a heart attack?
Yeah.
Like right after that. So they said that workout that he did for nobody kind of cleared out his arteries enough that didn't kill him, his heart attack. We could be living in a Bob Odenkirk-less world, Justin.
It'd be a sad day. He's great. He's great in everything he's ever done. All the way back to Mr. Show.
All right, we're coming up on 22 minutes. That's the length of an Office episode. That's about what I like to keep the podcasts these days. So any final thoughts? What do we want to do next? What's coming out that we should watch?
Oh, man. I know there's some stuff coming out this summer. You're going to go see the Alien Romulus.
Yeah, Alien Romulus. That comes out in a couple of weeks. I can see if we can get you a ticket because I got a couple of tickets for opening weekend.
Yeah,
but it's after the trade deadline, so it shouldn't be too crazy.
Yeah, there you go. You'll be running in and out trying to figure out who the Yanks are getting next. But yeah, lots of probably a lot of good stuff coming out. I got to really check the calendar because I haven't. I know there's another comic movie coming out. We
should watch the new Twisters movie. I haven't seen that yet. I've heard that's pretty cool. So into that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick that up. All right, Jay Money. Any final thoughts?
No, chimichangas.
Chimichangas. Always full of excitement there in your final thoughts there, Justin.
I'm so deep. I'm so deep.
You're a deep motherfucker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. We are the Dudes, and this is the Dudes Podcast. Go ahead and like and subscribe and follow us on all your favorite audio platforms. We talk about movies, but we also talk about other stuff. So tune in,
right.
But it's mostly movies. So.
Mostly movies.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
The Dudes thank you for watching. You can subscribe to the channel, you can check it out on all of your favourite podcast platforms, and you can tune in each week for new episodes. We'll see you next time.